That's really interesting. What are you involved in activities wise or activism, all that stuff? Your passion.
Um,
This causes
what's
you're
that?
passionate about.
Sure. I mean, so I was actually published in a magazine about 7, 8 months ago in regards to life coaching. Realistically, I had independently done mentoring with men for a long time. And I would describe it as coaching healthy masculinity. And it's interesting because I find some people, I mean, that term seems um, so many people have different takes on it. And I've had little people be like, oh my gosh, we need to go back to what it was before. And I'm like, here's what's crazy. To me, healthy masculinity really has a balance of being able to communicate emotions in healthy ways, but at the same time, very much being that protector, that person that goes out and accomplishes the goals, that provides for the family. And I'll use a word that some people might be triggered by, but that actually fights and pursues and takes new land of their goals and winning at life. And assertively, aggressively, passionately going out and getting what they want out of life, obviously not hurting anybody else in the process, but realistically, not being weak when it comes to getting what they want, and getting people to actually be willing to fail and willing to go through that. So, in regards to that's mostly what I work with. I run a few different businesses as a whole, but I'm also 100% custody dad, so that he's kind of my world as a whole. Um, but I've donated a lot of time to different things. I mean, the women of pageant thing was pretty cool, um, but a lot of different charity organizations and stuff like that. So, um, yeah.
Yeah, very much. That's very cool, man. So, what was it like being at that pageant?
That was a new experience for me. I had actually had Danielle DeMont actually message me beforehand. We'd never met in person. And she actually was like the runner up. Honestly, she probably, if it wasn't because of how the scenario played out, she probably would have been the winner. I think most people know that. She was literally just an amazing human. Um, and she still is. We still talk occasionally, not that often, but she was like, "Hey, do you want to be, do you want to be my escort for that weekend?" And it just, I mean, basically drive her around, kind of hang out as we go do different things. And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" So it was kind of cool getting that invite. And then when I was there, obviously a lot of cool people that were there. You were there, um, and just a ton of people that I thought were genuinely good people trying to do something positive. And I mean, obviously, being women of pageant, I was the funniest looking dude there. I mean, I was by far I was the guy in the corner when they didn't want anybody to look at appearance that they kind of hit in the corner. But other than that, I'm just kidding. But but it was a good time. Yeah, it was a positive experience and really good people. So.
What else do you counsel in other than coaching? Like, what do you provide for people?
Do you just mean my other businesses as a whole, or do you mean in regards to working with people, in regards to relationships and personal growth?
That one.
Okay. Um, so though I say I focus on healthy masculinity because it's my passion and it's what I really needed to grow in the most myself and be well rounded with my goals. Um, it's interesting because a lot of times I have females come to me and they're trying to connect with their men. And here's the truth of it. Uh, because a lot of guys, the thought of another male speaking into their life is intimidating. For them, we've kind of been coached that that means you're weak. Realistically, if you need help from somebody, it's because you're a therapy case. And I still believe therapy is great. I actually have a therapist, and I believe everybody should have a perspective of somebody not in their life actively that they can communicate something and says it. Actually, one of my favorite movies is the Thomas Crown Affair. This multi-millionaire guy, one of the coolest movies, just laid out wise. But it starts by him talking to a therapist. And it's interesting because he has this huge amount of success business wise, and he's so successful in so many different ways, confident, charismatic, but he's still going to a therapist. And I'm like, this is kind of a cool perspective. So I work with everything. A lot of times I find women come to me more often because what they're going is like, you know what, I want a better relationship with this guy, but it seems like he's afraid to potentially change or get help. Now, I mean, honestly, a lot of times they're wanting that guy to change in a way that that guy doesn't want to change. And so I kind of ask them questions along the road of like, you know, you say that you want these things in your man, but maybe you just want those things in a man in general. And maybe you just, you know, I kind of help them really start to ask themselves questions. Am I settling? How do I actually find what I want, really want out of life, or what, you know, from a relationship? So I'd say as a whole, I coach relationship coaching. Um, but I also, I mean, realistically, I started out by helping people accomplish just daily, everyday goals and working towards the things that they wanted to have success with. I was a business banker for a long time. So I helped a lot of businesses go through what they call staging. Basically, you go from just themselves to 5, 10 employees to 25 to 40 employees. And I would coach them through those stages, understanding credit, understanding how actually employing somebody and actually leading, how to keep quality staff on, stuff like that. So that's where I started with, and I still work with that too. It's just not my passion as much. So
All right. What other business ventures do you have?
so I also so I have my mortgage license, but that's obviously dead right now. The mortgage like mortgages in general are pretty slow. I have a roofing install and repair business. I actually work with I'm a consultant for a full service marketing company. I was one of the top guys with GoDaddy for SEO for quite a while and took a break from that a little bit. But I had a company reach out to me that was probably the best company I'd worked with in the past say, hey, we heard that you're not a GoDaddy anymore. Is this something you'd potentially want to do? Um, and because it was the company that I was like, absolutely. I know you guys help your customers. I know this is something I can consult people with and help them grow their businesses. Definitely fits up into my alignment of mentoring people all the way around. So I'd say the two major ones right now are roofing install and repair and basically full service marketing for businesses.
Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. So, what are your funniest memories in your journey?
My funniest memories. That's a question I've never gotten before. Hmm. Funniest memories. That's a tough question. I mean, I have certain ones that I kind of look back and I laugh at, but I wouldn't say that they were necessarily funny in the moment. Um, I had one lady one time. I'm actually at a bar and I'm actually coaching this guy in regards to how to interact and converse with ladies in general. This guy had not really been dating at all. He honestly was significantly out of shape when we first started working out together. Um, we set some goals in regards to his day job. We'd set some goals in regards to just changing his life as a whole. And here I was coaching this guy, and this lady knew who I was because the bartender and I had a pretty good relationship. And he would actually a lot of times be like, somebody would come to him and ask him questions. And if I was ever there, which was kind of like my go-to spot, like cheers, like he'd be like, "Oh, you need to go talk to Adam." What's funny because she knew who I was because of being published in the magazine and that, and then just as a whole, but she just knew of me with working with men, and she heard me coaching this guy, and we got done, and she's like, you know, can I give you some direction on your coaching? And I was like, I mean, you can, but I'm going to be honest with you. Like, what experience do you have in coaching somebody? And the field that she was working in had nothing to do with it. And basically, I was like, go for it. And she basically tells me all these things like that he needs to change. And I'm like, I laughed so hard because, gosh, and it's funny, but it's not funny. It basically comes down to so many people have a way of saying everybody else should change things in their life. But everything that she had communicated to me, I was listening to, and I'm like, I know who this person is, and they're a mess. And I'm like, what they're what it was one of the biggest. Do you know what projecting is by chance? Like somebody sees faults in themselves, and so they actually look at those faults for somebody else.
Yeah, I
Well,
have experience with that.
so she completely, basically everything that she labeled off. I was sitting back and going, she's actually not talking about him. She's talking about him or herself. She just doesn't even know it. And the challenge is, so she was looking for all these faults in this guy because she knew that I was mentoring him, but I don't coach people based off their faults. I coach people based off their strengths because if you focus on your strengths, you can make them better. Everybody has faults. Anyways, so I would say it was maybe my humor is a little bit different than most because my humor with that was kind of sitting back and actually visually seeing this is our society. We want to pick on other people for the things that we actually aren't strong in ourselves. And it's so visually obvious to me. But I just kind of was like, okay, cool. I appreciate you telling me the direction with that. And I just kind of like I shortly left afterwards, just laughing, going like, everybody wants to fix everybody else, but nobody wants to look in the mirror and actually say like, okay, I know I got these things to work on. So to me, it was pretty funny to see it so visibly in front of me. In regards to just humorous, like just chuckle up per se, I don't know if that necessarily comes. I mean, I laugh about a lot of different things. I make light of a lot of different things, but I wouldn't say there's necessarily any experiences just like, oh my gosh, this was just so. Oh, I take that back. I remember one experience. So this one guy was very stuck in. Oh, here we go. This fits for you to an answer to what you're looking for. So I was out one time coaching this guy. We were actually in another bar, nice place, and I was kind of giving him some small tips on how to interact, and I coached actually start conversations with somebody. This very attractive female that was at this bar, she had ordered some food, and I had overheard her what she actually was ordering food wise. And so when the waiter actually kind of came by, he came right by in front of me. So I jokingly look at her as I'm about to like as I know what I'm about to do. I actually like I was going to grab food off her plate, and she was like, I didn't grab the food off of it. But she comes over shortly afterwards and she's like, that was one of the boldest moves I've seen a guy just about ever do. And her and I were laughing about it for quite a while, just because of how it actually kind of played out as a whole. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So that's all I have for now, but I have one last question on the
Yeah.
list. How do you think your journey can impact the world?
I think I'm just getting started. In regards to impacting the world, I think that being in a place of mental health in regards to feeling comfortable being a man, or if you're a female in a relationship with a man where you want him to take the lead, I think that my biggest skill is helping people to bring out that in themselves, um, or allowing that to actually develop. So I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like God's just starting on me in regards to different aspects with it. I have some pretty big goals in regards to certain stuff with it. But I think we are definitely a culture in need of men that will fight for what they believe in. And I know that I've helped a lot of men actually learn how to stand up for their principles and learn how to do it in healthy ways. That, yeah, I feel like, I mean, I think the trickle effect around us when men stiffen their spine and actually fight for what they believe in naturally affects a lot of other people around them. So, but there you go.
Awesome to hear. So where can people find you?
Um, it's funny. I just actually literally like 3 weeks ago took down my site because I'm doing a full revamp on it. Um, Easiest way to find me is through social media right now. Adam J. Roberts through Facebook, Savage Spartan 318 through Instagram, and I'm actually in a little bit of a transition because I was doing it on a grander scale. And honestly, I kind of was like, my passion is really to work with men independently or somebody independently as opposed to large groups, just because I don't feel like that large group setting creates the same impact that I want. Um, and whether it be financially the most beneficial thing or not, for me, I find it's the way to make the biggest change. And that's what I'm looking to do is make the biggest change. In somebody's life, and on a higher scale, it just doesn't seem to accomplish that as much. Maybe I'll probably write a book or something like that might do things on a bigger scale and direction that way one day. But I find a lot of the times that I really want to work with people individually, and so that's where I'm shifting a lot of my focus to currently.
All righty, that sounds great. We wish you luck in that. So, everybody, let's thank Adam J. Roberts for appearing on RNU. Please check him out on his websites and links and all that he mentioned, and his books. And we'll see you next week for the next episode of RNU.